There's a strange ache in the silence between two people. You meet a woman. She's kind, engaging, intelligent. She even laughs at your jokes like she truly means it. The connection feels promising, even real. But beneath the surface, there's a cold absence, a void you can't name, but you feel it. She doesn't see you in that way. There's no hunger in her glance, no curiosity behind her smile, no magnetism in the air. She treats you with warmth, yet the spark never catches fire. You're seen, but not desired. In the quiet of your own thoughts, the questions multiply. What did you miss? Why does emotional intimacy flourish, yet physical chemistry fails to ignite? Why do other men, seemingly careless or indifferent, awaken something you can't? You offered presence. You offered respect. You listened. You gave your heart space to feel. And yet, she felt nothing more than friendship. This is where so many men find themselves, caught in a cycle of confusion, misreading what attraction truly is, and placing faith in all the wrong signals. There's a myth that haunts modern masculinity, one that suggests being kind, emotionally generous, and open-hearted will inevitably lead to love, to sex, to fulfillment. But this story, though noble in tone, is false in its conclusion. It forgets that desire lives in the unknown, not in safety. It forgets that a woman's longing is not merely awakened by tenderness, but by tension, polarity, and depth. We have confused emotional approval with physical attraction, and that confusion leaves many men invisible in the very moments they long to be seen most. Sexual attraction does not arise from predictability. It does not bloom from comfort alone. It emerges from contrast between the known and the unpredictable, the stable and the wild, the gentle and the bold. When you offer only softness, only warmth, only safety, you may nourish her heart, but you will not ignite her body. And the most painful part is this: she may like you, she may admire you, but she will not want you. Not in the way that keeps her awake at night. Not in the way that makes her ache when you're gone. We must understand that emotional connection and sexual magnetism are not bound by the same psychological rules. A woman can feel entirely safe with a man and feel nothing physically. She can trust him with her secrets, but never fantasize about touching him. And she can feel electricity with someone she barely knows, a man whose presence stirs something ancient in her body. These contradictions are not flaws in her nature. They are reflections of the complexity of female desire, which does not always follow the logic of relationships, but the rhythm of instinct. And yet, men have been taught to seek approval, to be polite, to be gentle, to erase every edge that might offend. We've mistaken emasculation for emotional maturity. In trying not to be threatening, we've become forgettable. In our effort to prove we are not like other men, we have unknowingly stripped ourselves of the very qualities that make us compelling. And so we end up emotionally visible, but sexually invisible, present in her life, but absent in her fantasies. The truth is this: women are not repelled by masculinity. They are repelled by the absence of grounded masculine energy. Not bravado, not posturing, but presence, stillness, leadership, confidence that isn't loud but undeniable, traits that evoke safety and stir a primal yearning. The man who carries this energy doesn't ask to be desired. He simply is. His attraction is not dependent on her reaction. He owns it, lives it, breathes it, and she feels it before he ever touches her. But this kind of presence can't be faked. It doesn't come from mimicking alpha behavior or memorizing seductive lines. It comes from embodying a deeper self-respect, one that does not shrink to be accepted, one that does not apologize for wanting, one that does not need to be needed. When a man lives from this place, his sexual confidence becomes unshakable, not because women always say yes, but because his worth isn't tied to whether they do. The men who become sexually irresistible are not those who seek to earn desire. They are those who awaken it simply by being deeply aligned with their own truth. They do not try to impress, they express. They are clear in their intent. And because they are unafraid of being misunderstood, they are felt more deeply than men who try to say all the right things. They understand that being liked is not the same as being wanted, and they have the courage to risk rejection in order to be fully seen. This is the path most men never walk, not because they are incapable, but because no one taught them how. Instead, they were conditioned to believe that being good was enough, that niceness would carry them to passion. But passion doesn't live in politeness. It lives in presence, in polarity, in boldness without apology. If you want to be desired, not just appreciated, you must become the man who no longer hides behind approval. You must become the one who dares to stand in his full masculine power without shame. And in doing so, you'll find that women respond, not because you chased them, not because you pleased them, but because you finally remembered how to be the man they could feel in their bones, not just in their hearts. True sexual confidence begins with a profound comfort in your own desires, a fearless embrace of your sexuality that is free from shame or hesitation. It is the quiet assurance that you are capable of giving pleasure and that your longing is neither something to hide nor to apologize for. When insecurity seeps in, when doubt about your sexual abilities or guilt over your desires takes hold, women instinctively sense this unease. This subtle vibration of uncertainty creates a ripple of discomfort that undermines attraction before a single word is spoken. The fear of rejection in matters of desire is among the most potent forces that extinguish attraction. When a man shrinks from the possibility of being turned away, when he carries the weight of rejection as a crushing blow, his masculine energy falters and diminishes in the eyes of a woman. Yet, true sexual confidence is not the absence of rejection, but the grace to face it without losing your essence. It is the resilience to express your interest openly, knowing full well that the answer may be no, and to accept that answer with unwavering dignity. This does not mean pushing boundaries or dismissing consent. Rather, it is the ability to read the subtle currents of response, to navigate desire with respect and sensitivity. Women are innately drawn to men who embody this emotional fortitude, men who can be vulnerable without losing strength, who can risk exposure without desperation. Such men carry a quiet power, a magnetic authenticity born from independence of outcome. Indeed, the most alluring men are those who do not hinge their worth on the approval or sexual interest of any particular woman. This state of outcome independence grants them freedom to be genuine, to take risks, and to reveal their sexuality without clinging or neediness. When your happiness and self-worth do not depend on her desire, your confidence naturally radiates, unburdened by pressure or expectation. This relaxed security is irresistible. It signals abundance, self-possession, and emotional sovereignty. One of the greatest challenges modern men face is balancing respect with the creation of sexual tension. Society often frames this as a dilemma, a choice between expressing sexuality and honoring boundaries. But this division is false. The truly magnetic man understands how to weave intense desire into the fabric of consent, crafting a dance of escalation that is both electrifying and respectful. It requires attentiveness, a keen sensitivity to her signals, and the courage to express interest boldly, while remaining secure enough to accept any response without retreat or resentment. This synergy of assertiveness and respect ignites something profound in women. Before physical desire can awaken, emotional safety must be firmly established. Women need to trust that you will not judge them, pressure them, or become a source of fear should they decline or hesitate. This foundation rests on your consistency, honesty, and genuine care for her as a whole person, not just an object of desire. Without this bedrock of safety, any attempt to kindle passion risks becoming threatening rather than enticing. Sexual attraction unfolds like a carefully composed symphony, progressing through a sequence of deliberate and mindful steps. It is not born from abrupt advances or forceful leaps, but from a gradual escalation, a steady increase in intimacy that honors her pace and comfort. Each touch, each glance, each whispered word must be met with receptivity before moving further. This measured approach cultivates excitement and anticipation while preserving trust and consent at every stage. Beyond words and gestures, your very physical presence broadcasts volumes about your sexual confidence. Women respond on a primal level to masculine energy conveyed through posture that is grounded and open, through movements that are purposeful and deliberate, through eye contact that is steady and unflinching. This presence is a silent language of genetic vitality and leadership, signaling that you are a man who commands his space and stands firm within it. Yet, this is not about size or intimidation. It is about embodying a calm assurance, a sense of being at home in your own body, ready to meet whatever life presents without hesitation. The way you carry yourself, the way you occupy a room, the way you engage with the world, speaks to your confidence and social standing in ways that words never could. Men who captivate sexually move with intention. They take up space thoughtfully. They maintain strong eye contact that lingers just enough to stir tension. And they use their physicality to create moments of intimacy that are palpable. This is how masculine energy is felt, through the subtle, yet powerful language of presence. Physical touch, when wielded with skill and respect, is among the most profound tools to awaken desire. It begins with casual, socially acceptable contact, a hand lightly brushing the arm, a brief touch on the shoulder, before slowly building into more intimate exchanges. The key lies in combining boldness with attunement. Every touch deliberate and confident, every response carefully observed. Respect for her boundaries is paramount, and comfort must always guide your actions. In this delicate balance, between expression and restraint, between desire and respect, true sexual magnetism is born. It is a dance of energies, a harmonious interplay of courage and sensitivity, power and tenderness. To master this is to step fully into the realm of authentic masculine presence, where attraction is not demanded, but naturally and effortlessly drawn. The journey into female sexuality reveals a truth often overlooked. Desire begins not in the body, but in the mind. For many women, the mind is the true gateway to arousal, a complex landscape where intellect, curiosity, and imagination converge to kindle passion long before any physical touch occurs. Engaging her mentally is not about flaunting knowledge or proving superiority. It is about genuine connection, challenging her thoughts, inviting her perspectives, and sharing the depths of your own mental world with honesty and respect. This intellectual engagement plants the seeds of admiration, a vital precursor to desire. It is within this sacred space of mutual respect for each other's minds that a woman's body becomes willing to follow. Without this mental bond, physical attraction struggles to find fertile ground. Desire, for women, often thrives on the unseen, the imagined, the anticipated, the unspoken possibilities that stir the senses even in absence. The power of anticipation is a silent force that can keep desire alive, vibrant, and growing. Through subtle language, an evocative hint, a suggestive story, or the delicate weaving of potential experiences, you can fuel her imagination, creating a rich tapestry of mental images that keep her connected to you across distance and time. The mind craves mystery. Sexual attraction falters in the face of predictability. When a man reveals himself entirely at once, he leaves no room for intrigue, no shadows where curiosity can linger. Instead, desire is sustained when parts of your story, your character, and your past remain carefully veiled, gradually revealed in layers, like chapters of a book meant to be savored over time. This slow unveiling invites continual discovery, keeping her fascinated and engaged. Before we delve deeper into these often unspoken laws of female desire, truths that challenge ingrained beliefs about attraction, consider pausing here. If these reflections unsettle your assumptions or spark new insights, affirm this moment with a like. Subscribe to journey further into understanding as we uncover truths that many men only grasp when opportunities have slipped away. Your engagement sustains this exploration of authenticity and connection. At the core of awakening desire lies sexual tension, a delicate equilibrium between proximity and distance, between engagement and withdrawal. It is a nuanced rhythm, a dance of showing interest while simultaneously cultivating a degree of absence that keeps her emotionally alert and eager. Too much availability dulls the senses. Too much withdrawal breeds detachment. The mastery lies in navigating this tension with finesse. This dynamic often manifests as moments of focused presence and warmth, interspersed with intentional retreat or distraction. It might mean expressing clear interest in her, then subtly shifting attention elsewhere, creating a gentle uncertainty about your true availability and focus. This unpredictable ebb and flow ignites emotional investment and anticipation, fueling the invisible fire of desire. The paradox of female arousal is that anticipation often outweighs immediate fulfillment. The mind and body are enlivened by the promise of future intimacy more than the act itself. Thus, creating spaces where physical contact is possible but deferred, conversations that suggest future closeness, and plans that spark imagination are essential. This deliberate nurturing of expectation causes her thoughts to drift toward you in moments apart, amplifying attraction. Emotional intensity is the soil from which sexual attraction grows. Passion does not emerge from bland, predictable interactions, but from exchanges charged with curiosity, challenge, and even a touch of frustration. Inviting emotional responses and managing the resultant intensity requires courage and authenticity. It is within this tension that genuine chemistry finds its voice. Communication, both spoken and silent, plays a profound role in this dance of attraction. The artful use of innuendo introduces a layer of subtlety and playfulness, allowing sexual themes to enter the conversation without explicitness or discomfort. Through hints, double meanings, and nuanced exchanges, you speak not only to her conscious mind, but to the deeper recesses of her imagination, crafting a dialogue rich with possibility. There's an art to expression, especially when it dances at the edge of innocence and suggestion. The most captivating men do not state their desires outright. Instead, they weave them subtly into their words, leaving room for interpretation. It is not what is said that sparks intrigue. It's what is implied, what hangs silently between the lines. This subtle undercurrent of meaning stirs the imagination, igniting fantasies not through pressure, but through possibility. It is here, in this quiet tension, that desire begins its silent work. The voice carries more than sound. It carries intention. A voice rooted deep in the body, calm and deliberate, communicates more than content ever could. Men who speak from the chest rather than the throat, slowly, with conviction, do not need to raise their tone to be heard. The resonance itself commands attention. Women feel this energy before they process it. It's a signal of groundedness, of inner strength, of presence. It tells her you are comfortable in your skin, and that comfort is magnetic. Somewhere between gaze and silence lives the spark of sexual tension. A man who can hold a woman's eyes without wavering, without turning it into a performance or a challenge, creates a quiet field of intensity. Eye contact, when used properly, becomes a language of its own. It says, "I see you, I desire you, but I am not controlled by that desire." It's not about domination. It's about stability. It's about anchoring her in the moment, letting her feel the power of your presence without pushing for anything more. Availability, despite what many are taught, is not always attractive. When a man is constantly present, easily accessed, and endlessly responsive, mystery fades. And without mystery, desire begins to slip away. What excites a woman is the sense that your world does not revolve around her, that you have a life filled with purpose, movement, and meaning, and that she must earn a place in it. Time becomes valuable only when it's not given to everyone. When she feels she must reach for you, she holds on tighter. Desire is social as much as it is personal. A man who is admired by others, especially by other women, carries a kind of undeniable validation. It's not about flaunting attention or chasing approval. It's about embodying a life where you are seen, appreciated, and chosen by others. This presence, this ease in the company of women, speaks volumes. It signals that you are not desperate for affection, that affection already finds you. And in that quiet abundance, attraction begins to form. To be desired, you must first be whole. Not in theory, but in the way you move through life. A man who does not need her, but chooses her, holds immense power. When your happiness, your direction, your growth, and your fulfillment do not depend on her presence, offer something rare: freedom. The freedom to want without clinging. The freedom to give without needing. This self-contained strength challenges her to meet you as an equal, not a savior. Routine is the slow death of seduction. When every moment feels expected, the emotional charge of connection begins to dull. Women crave novelty, not chaos, but surprise. When a man invites her into unfamiliar experiences, when he breaks through her usual rhythm and offers something unexpected, he becomes a source of vitality. It's not about extravagance, it's about intention, a thoughtful detour, a curious experience, a small disruption in the ordinary. That's where desire awakens. Your identity is not a monolith. It is not one tone, one mood, or one version of yourself. Show her your dimensions. Be serious when the moment calls for gravity. Be playful when the energy leans toward lightness. Be unpredictable, not in a way that confuses her, but in a way that keeps her curious. Complexity holds attention. When a woman cannot fully pin you down, when she senses there is more beneath the surface, more to explore, more to learn, that's when she leans in, again and again. There's something quietly magnetic about a man who dares to step beyond the familiar. Women are instinctively drawn to those who embrace uncertainty, not with recklessness, but with poise and presence. The man who willingly leans into discomfort, who pursues what matters even at the risk of failure, signals something ancient, courage. And not the theatrical kind, but a grounded form of leadership rooted in intention. It is the ability to act boldly without needing control over the outcome, because that, more than any words, reveals character. Taking risks is not about adrenaline or danger. It's about presence. It's about showing that you're not paralyzed by fear, that you trust yourself enough to navigate uncharted territory. Whether it's exploring a new path in life, speaking with unfiltered honesty, or choosing connection despite uncertainty, every small act of courage builds a deeper masculine presence. And that presence, when carried without ego, speaks directly to the feminine nervous system. She feels it before she understands it. Physical intimacy, like emotional depth, must unfold as a progression, not a performance. It begins subtly, a brief, casual touch during conversation, the soft guidance of a hand placed gently on her lower back, the incidental brush of arms during shared moments. These touches aren't about possession or proving desire. They're a quiet signal of awareness. The man who can offer touch without expectation and read her responses without rushing is the one who builds trust where desire can safely bloom. Sensitivity is not weakness, it is precision. Learn to attune yourself to her reactions, not through analysis, but through presence. A woman leaning closer, holding eye contact longer, initiating brief contact herself. These are unspoken invitations, but when she stiffens, withdraws, or moves away, these are not rejections, they're reminders. Reminders that desire only thrives when it is mutual, when it flows in both directions. The truly grounded man knows how to pause, to let silence speak, to let comfort be the prelude to deeper connection. Each step of escalation is not just a physical act, it is a conversation without words. From brief social gestures to deeper, more intentional forms of touch, each level must be received, not assumed. It is in the slow ascent, in the space between contact and consent, that tension is built, not as pressure, but as possibility. The anticipation becomes part of the intimacy itself. And through this, she feels not only desired, but respected. And that distinction is everything. But touch alone is not enough. There is a difference between a woman being comfortable in your presence and her being drawn to you sexually. Comfort is stillness. Sexual interest is movement. If she mirrors your touch, if her body seeks yours without needing a reason, if her gaze lingers or her breath deepens, you're no longer simply close. You are wanted. And if that flame hasn't yet sparked, it's not time to push forward. It's time to return to the fire of connection and curiosity. The richest sexual relationships do not come from physical compatibility alone. They are born in the space where body and soul converge. Emotional intimacy is not a vulnerability dumped at her feet, nor a strategy for control. It is an offering, but timing matters. When emotional openness arrives too soon, it can collapse the polarity that fuels attraction. When withheld entirely, it leaves connection shallow. The man who knows how to reveal himself in layers, gently, honestly, and at the right moments, invites her into something deeper than attraction. He invites her into trust. Passion, like presence, requires range. Some moments call for fire, intensity, laughter, seduction. Others call for calm, stability, softness, reassurance. Knowing when to bring one or the other and how to move between the two is emotional intelligence in motion. It's not about being everything to her. It's about knowing yourself so fully that you can meet her emotional rhythm without losing your own. And over time, when the novelty of the early stages has faded, when routines threaten to dull desire, it becomes even more vital to evolve. To remain interesting, not by chasing attention, but by growing from within. Maintain your independence. Follow your curiosity. Continue becoming the man you are always meant to be. Sexual relevance is not sustained through performance. It is maintained through personal evolution. When you change, she rediscovers you, again and again. At the heart of all this lies a truth too often overlooked. Sexual attraction is not built on tricks, tactics, or empty performances. It does not emerge from mimicking confidence, but from embodying it. You cannot act your way into authentic desire. You must become the man who naturally evokes it. That means confronting the places within you that feel inadequate, healing the insecurities that seek validation, and rising into a place of genuine self-respect. Masculine energy, when it's whole, does not chase, manipulate, or perform. It simply is. And when a woman feels that, a man who stands in his truth, who invites without needing, who touches without taking, something ancient in her awakens, something that no technique can fabricate, something real. Authentic sexual confidence doesn't need to be performed. It doesn't emerge from tactics or borrowed lines. It comes from the slow, steady work of becoming a man who respects himself. When confidence is rooted in real self-development, it feels grounded. Women sense that. They respond not to the performance, but to the substance behind it. But confidence, no matter how refined, means nothing without respect. Any man who seeks to provoke desire while ignoring dignity crosses into dangerous territory. The men who hold power and intimacy are the ones who can lead without force, express desire without disrespect, and assert themselves without ever stepping over a boundary. The goal is not to master tricks of attraction. The goal is to become the kind of man who attracts naturally. That shift in mindset, from short-term technique to long-term transformation, is what separates empty charisma from meaningful connection. What draws quality women isn't your methods. It's your presence, your depth, your authenticity. Clarity is critical. Learn to read the difference between real interest and simple kindness. Misreading politeness as desire leads to misunderstanding and often to discomfort on both sides. Presence demands awareness. It asks you to see beyond your assumptions and hear what her energy is actually telling you. Real desire looks different. It's not always loud, but it's distinct. She might linger near you, She might mirror your movements or seek out private space. She may initiate light touch or speak with increasing intimacy. These cues don't scream, they invite, and the man who sees them doesn't rush. He listens. Female arousal doesn't always announce itself with certainty. It lives in the details, in her pupils, her breath, her tone, the way she shifts in her chair. You're not just reading signs, you're tuning into a rhythm, one that doesn't follow your pace, but hers. When you're truly present, you don't guess, you feel. But no sign, no signal, no desire is ever a license. Your awareness must walk hand in hand with your restraint. If she hesitates, slows, or stiffens, you adjust, not out of weakness, but out of respect. Her safety is not a step toward attraction. It is the ground it grows from. To be good in intimacy is not to be skilled in action, but in attention. Every breath, every pause, every shift in her tone is a message. Your job is to listen, to respond, to let the moment shape you instead of trying to control it. Intimacy isn't something you take, it's something you build. Together. You don't perform it, you participate in it, and you do so with humility, curiosity, and care. That's where the real connection begins, not in what you do, but in how fully you are there while doing it. The most magnetic men are those who no longer seek to prove themselves. They don't measure their worth by performance, nor do they let anxiety dictate their presence. Instead, they offer something far more rare: shared experience. They know that real chemistry isn't about control, but about connection. They prioritize mutual pleasure over ego, and that shift in focus changes everything. Grace in rejection is a quiet strength. When a man can accept no without folding inward or lashing outward, he shows a maturity that transcends charm. He respects her decision without withdrawing his dignity. That's not just attractive, it's admirable. Desire cannot grow in the shadows of pretense. When a man hides his interest, masks it behind false friendship, or dances around his true intention, he creates confusion. But clarity, spoken with kindness, is liberating. A woman doesn't need you to be aggressive. She needs you to be honest. Say what you feel. Want what you want. Let her respond on her own terms. Directness isn't about pushing. It's about freeing both of you from the weight of ambiguity. When she knows where you stand, she doesn't have to guess. And when you stop pretending to be indifferent, she gets to choose from a place of truth, not manipulation. Honesty creates space. Whether you want something serious or something casual, say it. Align before you proceed. Misalignment doesn't just waste time, it erodes trust. But when two people begin on the same page, everything becomes easier, lighter, safer. The fear of clarity leads many men into silence. But silence breeds uncertainty, and uncertainty over time breeds disappointment. Women feel safer exploring desire with men who know how to speak clearly, calmly, respectfully. Presence in intimacy means attention, not attention to outcome, but attention to her cues, her rhythm, her enjoyment. A man who listens with his hands, who adjusts based on how she responds, creates a space where trust can deepen. Self-focused lovers are forgettable. Attentive ones are unforgettable. When a woman feels prioritized, not just touched, she remembers, she returns, she opens, because her body responds not to force, but to awareness. True sexual connection comes from understanding, not just of her body, but of her psychology. Not from tactics, but from transformation. You can't fake grounded masculinity. You become it. And when you do, attraction is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you carry. The men women want most aren't perfect. They're present, they're clear, they're grounded. And because of that, they're deeply, undeniably desired. They've stopped chasing surface tricks and shallow tactics. They've come to realize that real, sexual confidence isn't something you perform. It's something you become. It doesn't live in rehearsed lines or calculated moves. It grows within, quietly, gradually, through personal discipline, through insight, and through the courage to know oneself deeply. Sexual attraction isn't a gift granted to the chosen few. It's a skill, a human capacity that can be cultivated with understanding, with intention, with authenticity, but most importantly, with the humility to grow. And the moment a man stops trying to appear attractive and starts focusing on actually becoming attractive, everything begins to shift. The foundation of sexual confidence is not built on borrowed techniques or manipulative strategy. It rests on genuine self-respect, earned competence, and an emotional understanding of how women truly experience desire. Masculine energy isn't something you manufacture. It's something you embody when you no longer seek permission to be who you are. When that kind of presence emerges, calm, grounded, unshaken, it draws others in. Not because you're trying to be impressive, but because you've become undeniable. Not through dominance, but through alignment. Not through force, but through resonance. And if any of this has revealed a blind spot, a deeper truth you hadn't seen before, let it be the start of something, not the end. Growth begins where illusions are shattered. Share this with those who are ready to move beyond surface-level attraction into something real, something rooted. Because the truth is this: sexual attraction has never been about perfection. It has always been about authenticity. A man at peace with his masculinity. Confident without arrogance. Emotionally aware without apology. These are the men who don't need to convince. They simply allow women to choose freely. And often, that's exactly what happens. So stop trying to be wanted. Start becoming the man who is wanted. Not through noise, through presence, not through pretending, through becoming. Until next time, remember, the deepest kind of desire begins with the deepest kind of truth. If this exploration has stirred something within you, share your thoughts in the comments, or simply your presence. Thank you for walking this path with us today. If this journey has stirred something within you, reflection, awareness, even clarity, know that you are not alone. Until next time, take care of your energy and honor your intuition.